I would like to congratulate Collette Stevenson for bringing this really important debate to the Chamber this evening. After all, as legislators and representatives of the people who elected us, challenging poverty should be our collective moral imperative. So I could have, like Collette, talked about many things this evening, like the two-child cap, which remains an important UK policy that continues to put people driving children into poverty. According to the Child Poverty Action Group in Scotland, 15,000 children a year have been pushed into poverty by this policy. I could also talk about the alarming new study from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation published today, which shows around 3.8 million people experience destitution in the UK, up to 61% since 2019 and more than doubling since 2017. And destitution is increasing more slowly in Scotland thanks to the bold policies we have, such as the Scottish Child Payment. And we remain limited in what we can do in this chamber without all the powers of an independent country. But I'm confident that my colleagues will cover some of these areas this evening. I want to raise tonight and focus on an extant injustice that has been raised by a number of my constituents, and that of historical energy debt. And I don't mean their historical energy debt, I mean debt that comes with a prepayment meter. We have had a number of people who have taken up tenancies, and that can be in social housing, it can be in council houses, or it can be in new properties. And if you do not get a new top-up card and a prepaid meter, you could carry the debt of the previous tenant, the previous owner, and the standing charges from when that was last used. So even if you supply with meter readings, the standing charge debt can be accrued and put onto your system. This is leaving some of the most vulnerable people in my constituency absolutely devastated because they can't heat and they can't look after their own issues and their own budgets because they are being lumped with up to the highest one so far, £271 of someone else's debt. This is morally repugnant. And while we could say that this is a Westminster issue and it needs legislation, what are the energy companies doing to right this wrong? It's an absolute disgrace. And that's just one of the problems with prepaid meters, which we know by. And because quite often you can have an increased tariff, a more expensive tariff. You're also in the position where if someone is struggling and tries to manage their own energy use, that they can fall victim to what is, self-disconnection. I mean, why are we talking in this century in Scotland, with all the weather problems that we have, self-disconnection? It makes no sense whatsoever. And it's a term that I cannot understand why it is still being used in this country for people. And perhaps the biggest one, I got the £400 grant. Everyone in this room probably got the £400 grant from the UK government to help with energy costs. But the take-up for prepaid meters is minuscule. So in some cases, about 60%. So people aren't accessing the vouchers, and that's to do with it being assumed they would have a mobile phone. It can be sent to, assumed that they would have digital access. Why should the most vulnerable people in our society have to be jumping through hoops to get a benefit that we are all getting in this room? So there's so much more that the energy companies could be doing to help people on prepayment meters to right this injustice, and it's morally an absolute moral imperative on them to fix this problem as quickly as possible. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Ms